before a single shot was fired, a silent war had already begun. In hidden rooms, behind locked doors, a handful of minds waged a battle that would change the course of history. This is the story of the code that nearly defeated the Allies and the men who refused to let it win. Early February 1941, Berlin. Cold air hangs in the long gray corridors, heavy with the smell of coal dust and damp paper. Clerks hurry past with carbon copies still warm from the roller, but one man has stopped moving entirely. A duty officer bends over a freshly decrypted signal from the North Atlantic. A U-boat group has been plotted west of Iceland. The bearings are perfect, the grid square exact. Everything is routine until it isn't. By late afternoon, new traffic bursts through from the same grid square. Depth charges hammer the sea. British destroyers arrive not minutes late, not roughly on time, but precisely on the minute. On the wall map, red pins marking the Wolf Pack and blue flags marking British escorts begin sliding toward each other. And somehow, the British get there first. The German command tests the obvious explanation, a spy. Then, operator error. Then, failure of procedure. But the cipher office swears everything was textbook. Indicator group, correct. Kengruppen, logged. Keys changed at 0000 hours Berlin time. The naval enigma should have buried every word beneath an ocean of permutations. 3 rotors, 26-letter wiring, a plug board swapping up to 10 pairs. Even before message settings, rotor choice and rotor order already mean dozens of combinations. Add daily ring settings and plugboard swaps, and the number climbs into the trillions. Separate key nets for separate branches, add yet another wall. And yet, through the second week, the same nightmare repeats. Convoys swerve away before German contact. Search aircraft patrol empty ocean. British escorts appear exactly where ambushes should form. The tone inside the war diary shifts from suspicion to dread. It feels as if the Atlantic itself is whispering in English. To understand the invisible hand moving those blue flags, the story must shift to Bletchley Park, where mathematics begins turning secrecy into leverage. Spring 1923. Berlin still hums with a fragile Weimar optimism. In a small workshop lit by gas lamps and rattling street trams, an electrical engineer named Arthur Scherbius bends over a compact wooden box fitted with 3 metal rotors and a lamp board. He calls it ENIGMA. Its purpose is radical, to turn every message into a maze of shifting letters, a system so fluid that no letter ever encrypts to itself, and no 2 encryptions ever follow the same path. 3 rotors, 1 reflector, 26 keys. A machine capable of more than 150 quintillion configurations. Numbers so huge, they might as well be infinite. Scherbius dreams of selling it to businessmen, bankers, companies hoping to secure their telegrams. Advertisements praise its mechanical miracle of precision. Almost no one buys it, but someone is watching. In 1926, the Reichswehr quietly begins testing improved versions. New wiring, stronger casings, additional safeguards. By the early 1930s, ENIGMA becomes standard for the Army, Navy, and Luftwaffe, each with unique rotor sets and plugboard patterns. To German officers, ENIGMA becomes more than a device. It becomes a symbol of engineering perfection. Every morning at 6 o'clock sharp, operators across Europe and the Atlantic reset the day's key list: rotor order, ring settings, plugboard cables. A ritual repeated like prayer. The British study intercepted traffic but dismissed decryption as hopeless. mathematically impossible. But far to the east, the first cracks are already forming. December 1932, Warsaw. Snow piles against the windows of the Polish Cipher Bureau. Inside, three young mathematicians, Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rojicki, and Henryk Zygalski, work among stacks of encrypted German messages. They're not engineers or soldiers. They are pure mathematical minds, recruited for their gift with patterns. Instead of guessing words, Rejewski treats ENIGMA as a system of algebraic permutations, mechanical logic that can be expressed through equations. By the end of the year, he has done the unthinkable, mapped ENIGMA's internal wiring and built the first working replica outside Germany. Over the next 6 years, the Polish trio refined their techniques. Rojicki's clock method for rotor order, Zygalski's perforated sheets to identify daily keys, early electromechanical bombas testing thousands of settings automatically. But Germany continues strengthening ENIGMA, more rotors, more plugboard cables, shorter key cycles. The workload becomes impossible. Aware that war is coming, the Poles make a decision that will change history. In July 1939, in a secluded forest cabin outside Warsaw, they meet British and French intelligence. On the table, 2 complete ENIGMA replicas. Rejewski explains everything: logic, mathematics, methods. The Allies leave with a head start they don't yet understand. 6 weeks later, Germany invades Poland. Warsaw burns. The Cipher Bureau scatters, but the knowledge survives and travels to a quiet estate in Buckinghamshire. September 1939, Britain. German troops cross Poland's borders. Bletchley Park, once a peaceful mansion, becomes the core of a hidden war. Mathematicians, linguists, crossword prodigies, chess masters. New huts rise across the estate. Typewriters chatter, clocks tick. The Polish gift arrives under armed escort. Blueprints, replica ENIGMAs, codebooks. Among the recruits is Alan Turing, a shy Cambridge mathematician whose ideas will reshape computation. Working with Gordon Welchman, Dilly Knox, and many others, they reconstruct and expand the Polish breakthroughs. They design a new machine, the British bomb, filled with more than 100 rotating drums mimicking ENIGMA's rotors. Powered by electric motors, each bomb tears through hundreds of combinations per second. The Women's Royal Naval Service, the WRNS, operate them endlessly, logging streams of letters that gradually become decoded orders, Luftwaffe flight plans, U-boat grids. By mid-1940, a new word enters Allied command: ultra, intelligence so precise it seems supernatural. Convoys steer away from ambushes. Bombers strike at the exact hour. Lives are saved not by guns, but by logic. In the quiet hum of Bletchley's huts, the war begins to turn. Spring 1941. Gray waves slam against the steel hulls of convoy HX-12 as it pushes west from Liverpool, carrying the supplies Britain needs to stay alive. For months, these routes have been slaughterhouses, shadowed by predators that strike without warning. The U-boats of Admiral Karl Dönitz. But tonight, something feels different. As midnight approaches, British destroyers alter course, not in fear, not in confusion, but with a calm, eerie precision. Hours before contact, they shift 10 degrees, engines rumbling through the black water. At dawn, the U-boats surface into mist, and depth charges are already exploding around them. The ambushers become the ambushed. None of this happens by accident. The transformation begins far from the ocean, inside the wooden huts of Bletchley Park. Here the bombs hum as they tear through German cipher traffic. Here ultra-intelligence reveals the positions, orders, and rendezvous points of wolf packs forming north of Iceland or near the Bay of Biscay. Each decrypted key is rushed to the Admiralty's Operational Intelligence Center. Analysts pin enemy positions onto convoy charts, predicting German movements with frightening accuracy. Destroyers steam directly into U-boat patrol zones, sometimes within hours of the original German signal. What once looked like luck is now pattern mastery. Meanwhile, inside the Marine headquarters in Berlin, Dönitz fumes. Reports arrive of U-boats lost, convoys unharmed, and British timing that borders on impossible. He orders interrogations, security sweeps, procedure audits, but no leak is found. No traitor, no mistake. Enigma is believed to be unbreakable, mathematically perfect, or so they think. By June, the numbers tell the truth they refuse to see. U-boat losses triple. Convoys once butchered now pass through untouched. Every encrypted message the Germans send, confident, precise, secure, is already whispering its secrets to the enemy, but the silent war of intellect is just beginning. February 1942. A sudden stillness sweeps through Bletchley Park. For 2 years, the machines have worked like metronomes, delivering ultra-intercepts that shaped the Atlantic War. Then, in a single night, everything goes dark. German naval traffic becomes unreadable. The Kriegsmarine has changed its cipher, a new variant, M4, a fourth rotor added to Enigma, a deeper labyrinth, a new wall. The British call its key Shark, and Shark hits like a hammer. Between February and May, German submarines carve a path of devastation along the American coast and deep into the mid-Atlantic gap, where Allied aircraft cannot reach. This becomes Dönitz's second happy time. 500 merchant ships vanish beneath the waves, millions of tons of cargo lost. Convoys stagger through the ocean blind. Depth charges fall into empty water. For the first time in years, the advantage belongs entirely to the U-boats. Inside Bletchley, frustration turns into urgency. Analysts pore over scraps of intercepts, searching for anything, any clue, to crack the new wiring. The breakthrough comes at a terrible price. October 30th, 1942. Off the coast of Egypt, HMS Petard corners U-559. As the submarine sinks, Lieutenant Tony Fasson and able seaman Colin Grazier dive into the flooding hull, dragging out soaked codebooks and cipher material. They succeed, but both men drown. Their sacrifice reignites Bletchley Park. The recovered books, combined with an M4 rotor previously captured, restore Ultra's vision. The bombs roar back to life. Within weeks, Allied command is again reading the heartbeat of the U-boat fleet. The message is clear. A single rotor can blind a nation. A single act of bravery can give it back its eyes. The tide of the Atlantic begins to turn for good. Late 1943. Inside Berlin's Marine headquarters, a quiet panic spreads like frost. Reports from the ocean make no sense. Convoys that should be destroyed are unscathed. Minefields laid in secrecy are avoided. Allied destroyers appear in the middle of the ocean hours after German transmissions. Too precise, too consistent, too impossible. Something is wrong. But every test insists Enigma is flawless. 3 rotors, hundreds of trillions of configurations, daily keys, plugboard swaps. The mathematics, the manuals, the doctrine all insist Enigma cannot be broken. Donitz orders sweeping audits, cipher clerks retrained, key lists rewritten, rotor orders reorganized, operators forbidden from repeat transmissions. Still, the Allies appear first. One experiment seals the dread. Two identical messages, one real, one altered, sent under different keys. Both provoke Allied response. There is no longer a possibility of coincidence. Yet German High Command rejects the idea of cryptographic failure. For them, it is unthinkable, impossible. They cling to belief, and that belief becomes their downfall. While Berlin trusts its machine, Bletchley Park tears apart its secrets one rotor click at a time. By the time the truth becomes undeniable, the silent fleet of the Reich has already been betrayed, not by spies, not by sabotage, but by the machine they trusted most. By 1943, the war of minds has escaped the limits of pencils and paper. Inside the wooden huts of Bletchley Park, the air trembles with the constant hum of motors and relays. Rows of machines, metal drums spinning in synchronized rhythm, fill entire rooms like mechanical lungs. These are Turing's bombs. Born from the Polish designs, re-engineered by British hands, and refined until they became engines of logic. Every rotation, every click, every spark of their circuitry brings the Allies closer to the hidden truth behind Enigma. But even these giants cannot keep pace forever. The Germans evolve their codes. The war expands. The volume of signals explodes. The machines must evolve too. In a separate building, away from the noise and the urgency, a quiet engineer named Tommy Flowers is assembling something the world has never seen. The target is no longer Enigma. It is the Lorenz cipher, the machine used for Germany's highest-level communications between Berlin and field marshals. More complex than Enigma, its messages longer, its encodings deeper. Manual decryption? Hopeless. Flowers' answer will rewrite the future. Colossus, the world's first programmable electronic computer, a monstrous frame of wires, switches, and 2,400 glowing vacuum tubes that hum like a living brain. It devours punched paper tape at 5,000 characters per second, scanning for patterns, testing probabilities, performing in hours what entire teams once needed weeks to attempt. With Colossus, the war enters a new dimension, a battlefield fought in voltage and logic gates. By late 1943, Bletchley Park is no longer just a code-breaking center. It is an intelligence engine. More than 10,000 men and women now work across the estate, each performing a precise task in a vast, unseen machine. Wrens operating the bombs. Linguists parsing fragments. Mathematicians designing new algorithms. Engineers repairing machines that never sleep. Every relay click might save a convoy. Every decoded phrase might redirect an army. Every whisper caught from the air might rewrite tomorrow's battles. Ultra-intelligence now stretches across every theater. U-boat hunts in the Atlantic, the Desert War in North Africa, the skies of Europe, the planning rooms of the Allied High Command. The Germans, obsessed with mechanical precision, never imagined their engineering masterpiece could be undone by something even more powerful, the relentless speed of thought. While Enigma rotors turn in rigid patterns, the Allies evolve. They adapt. They think just a little faster than metal. The war is no longer decided only by fleets or armies. It is decided in the quiet rooms of Bletchley Park, where intellect becomes a weapon and the fate of nations is written in electricity. By late 1942, Ultra has become the invisible general of the Allied war effort. In North Africa, the clash between Erwin Rommel and Bernard Montgomery is no longer decided only by tanks, fuel, or desert winds, but by information. From their huts in Bletchley Park, analysts read the pulse of the Afrika Korps through its own encrypted messages. They see everything: fuel shortages, supply delays, desperate requests for ammunition, convoys stranded before they even leave port. Rommel's army, feared across the desert, is bleeding dry, and the Allies know it before he does. When Montgomery strikes at El Alamein in October 1942, the timing is surgical. His tanks move forward at the exact moment Rommel's fuel reserves hit their lowest point. The victory becomes the first major turning of the tide in the West, a triumph shaped not just by steel, but by mathematics. Ultra's reach only grows. In Sicily and Italy, decrypts slip into Allied command posts like whispers. Minefield locations, convoy routes to Tunisia, evacuation schedules across the Strait of Messina. Bombers take flight hours before German ships arrive, turning harbors into burning traps. Officers joke darkly that Germany has become its own best informant. Then comes the greatest deception of the war. As 1944 approaches, the Allies prepare for the invasion of France. At Bletchley, waves of ultra-intelligence feed into Operation Fortitude, a vast illusion designed to mislead Hitler about where the landings will strike. Fake radio traffic, double agents, invented divisions, signals crafted specifically to be intercepted. The Germans take the bait. Decrypts confirm it. Entire divisions remain stationed near Pas-de-Calais, waiting for an invasion that will never come. So when dawn breaks on June 6, 1944, and Allied troops storm the beaches of Normandy, the German reserves, the ones meant to crush the landings, are sitting hundreds of kilometers away. For years, German officers would wonder how the Allies always seemed to anticipate them. They never knew the truth. Every encrypted message they sent, every confident order tapped into ENIGMA was a confession delivered straight to their enemy. Ultra didn't just protect the invasion, it ensured its success. It turned German secrecy into self-sabotage. By 1944, the war for information has become a war for belief. Ultra flows into Allied headquarters with quiet regularity, shaping decisions from the Atlantic to the Ardennes. Yet the secret remains locked behind steel doors and silence. Commanders are instructed to act as if their foresight comes from instinct, reconnaissance, or pure luck. Still, rumors spread. At the front, soldiers start whispering that the Allies must have something, some advantage, some strange invisible hand guiding them. Convoys evade ambush after ambush. Air raids hit targets with impossible timing. German counterattacks arrive to find empty fields. The troops joke, "Somebody up there is reading Jerry's mail." What starts as a joke becomes confidence. The sense that somehow the Allies are always one step ahead. Across the front line, the effect on Germany is catastrophic. Orders are intercepted. Traps fall apart. Movements are anticipated before they begin. Messages that follow every rule of ENIGMA, every plugboard setting, every rotor shift, still betray their owners, still whisper to the enemy. Officers grow suspicious of their own men. Some blame careless radio operators. Others blame spies. The more desperate ones speak of Allied radio sorcery or invisible detectors, or some supernatural radar guiding British fighters from the clouds. Luftwaffe pilots swear British aircraft appear as if summoned from thin air. At night, panicked reports circle through the ranks, describing uncanny Allied timing. The paranoia spreads upward. Even senior commanders begin issuing contradictory orders, terrified that any transmission, even the safest, might doom them. Their faith in Enigma, once absolute, begins to crumble. The machine they trusted to be flawless has become a psychological trap. Every click of its keys, once a symbol of German precision, now sounds like betrayal, a reminder that the enemy is listening. The Allies have not just outsmarted the Reich's technology, they have shattered the confidence that held the German command together, one decoded signal at a time. By 1944, Bletchley Park is no longer a quiet country estate. It has transformed into an industrial organism built for one purpose: to think faster than an empire. Rows of bomb machines fill entire halls, each the size of a wardrobe, each packed with hundreds of rotating drums spinning day and night. Electric motors hum through the cold air, wires heat under constant strain, and relay switches click in relentless rhythm, a mechanical heartbeat driving the hidden war. The machines consume everything: copper, steel, rubber, thousands of hours of maintenance. Yet machinery is only half the operation. The true engine of Bletchley is human. Thousands of workers, many of them young women barely out of school, man the decoders, sort intercepts, copy endless streams of letters, and operate the bombs with machine-like precision. Shift after shift, their pencils race across paper, their typewriters hammer through the night. Most do not know what the messages they handle actually mean. That ignorance is by design. Compartmentalization is absolute. No one sees the full picture. Everyone is just a single cog in a vast, silent weapon. Listening posts along the British coast pick up German signals. The intercepts travel instantly to Bletchley. From there, naval sections relay decrypted messages to command centers in Gibraltar, Alexandria, and Washington. It is a global web built in secret, a nervous system of pure intelligence hidden behind hedges and country roads. Winston Churchill calls the workers the geese that laid the golden eggs and never cackled. Their silence is as important as their brilliance. Across the Channel, Germany never grasps the scale behind its collapsing security. Officers assume Allied successes are coincidence or the work of a spy, or extraordinary luck. They never imagine an entire army of minds, a secret workforce, is quietly dismantling their war machine. And so, Ultra remains unchallenged, invisible, relentless, always listening. While Enigma's users press their keys with confidence, convinced the machine protects them, every letter they send becomes another confession delivered straight into Allied hands. By the first months of 1945, German secrecy isn't just cracking, it has completely collapsed. From Hitler's bunker in Berlin to the last U-boat drifting somewhere in the Atlantic, almost every German transmission is being read at Bletchley Park within hours, sometimes within minutes, of being sent. Ultra is no longer an intelligence advantage. It is total visibility. U-boat deployments, Luftwaffe repositionings, even Hitler's personal orders reach Allied commanders faster than they reach the German units they were meant for. Planning that once required weeks of reconnaissance can now be done in a single afternoon. The Reich fights in the dark. The Allies fight with perfect sight. As Allied troops push deeper into Germany, mobile code-breaking teams follow close behind, entering captured headquarters, naval stations, and offices still warm with recently abandoned work. Inside these buildings, they find the truth laid bare. Enigma machines sit on desks exactly as they were left, plugged in, half-used, rotors frozen mid-message. Cipher logs stack in piles. Wiring diagrams lie scattered like discarded blueprints of a defeated empire. Only now, at the very end, do German officers grasp what happened to them. In May 1945 at Flensburg, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, Hitler's final successor, is told by British officers that his naval communications have been read for years. Witnesses describe him standing in stunned silence, as if someone had pulled the ground out from under him. The unbreakable machine, the pride of German engineering, the mathematical fortress he trusted with the fate of fleets, had been defeated long ago, and he never knew. Across the shattered remains of the German command, shock turns to humiliation. Enigma had been more than a tool. It had been a philosophy, a belief that precision, structure, and engineering could make Germany untouchable. Its defeat is therefore not just technical. It is ideological. It is the triumph of imagination over certainty, human insight over blind faith in machines. When Berlin falls and the transmitters go silent, one truth becomes undeniable. Numbers alone cannot win a war. When the guns finally fall silent in 1945, the war's greatest victory does not appear in headlines. It disappears, buried under the deepest secrecy Britain has ever imposed. Ultra, the code-breaking miracle whispered only at the highest levels, is sealed shut under the Official Secrets Act. No celebrations, no parade, no recognition. Its heroes return to ordinary lives as if nothing happened. The men and women of Bletchley Park go back to villages, jobs, and quiet families, carrying with them accomplishments so extraordinary they cannot be spoken aloud. For decades, they answer questions about their wartime work with vague smiles and soft misdirection. Some say they were clerks. Some say they repaired radios. Most say nothing at all. Many die, never hearing the world thank them. Yet historians will one day calculate what their silence achieved. Ultra shortened the war in Europe by up to 2 years, saving as many as 14 million lives. But in their time, there is no applause. Their victory is too valuable to reveal. Ironically, the same machine they conquered, the mighty Enigma, continues to deceive others. In the late 1940s and 1950s, surplus German cipher machines are quietly sold or gifted to foreign governments who trust their supposed invincibility. They encrypt their national secrets with pride, and British intelligence reads those messages with the same ease it once read Hitler's. The deception lasts for years. Not until the 1970s does the full story begin to rise from the shadows. When the archives finally open, the truth shocks the world by its scale. But most of Bletchley's heroes are already gone. Their triumph long buried, their brilliance known only in classified rooms. What remains is the legacy of their discipline, a victory so absolute it had to stay unheard. Ultra was not just an intelligence operation. It was a silent revolution, a triumph written in secrecy, sealed in shadows, and carried by people humble enough to let history unfold without ever speaking their part in it. In the end, the downfall of Enigma does not sound like victory. There are no explosions, no cheering crowds, no banners raised above ruined cities. There is only silence. The silence of a captured message, decoded, understood, and quietly filed away. For the Reich, Enigma's failure is a betrayal of logic, a collapse of faith in the certainty of numbers. For the Allies, it is proof that imagination will always outrun arrogance, and that the sharpest weapon in any war is a mind that refuses the word impossible. Today, Enigma machines sit behind museum glass. Their rotors are still. Their polished keys reflect the faint light of history. Visitors see only metal and switches, never knowing these devices once shaped the fate of continents. The bombs are silent. The cipher clerk's long gone, but the lesson remains. Where reason confronts complexity, where knowledge pushes back against chaos, the true battlefield is thought. And in that quiet, if you listen closely, you can almost hear it still, the faint, ghost-like rhythm of messages captured and understood. Today, Enigma machines stand frozen in glass cases, mute relics of a war fought as much in silence as in fire. Visitors lean in, studying the metal keys and rotating drums, never realizing that these instruments once held the power to decide which nations lived and which died. Their rotors no longer turn, their wiring no longer whispers. But for years, their rhythm determined the fate of armies, submarines, and millions of lives. The hum of the British bombs is gone now. The clatter of relay switches, the scratch of pencils across cipher sheets, the footsteps echoing through the huts of Bletchley Park, all faded into history. What endures is not the machinery itself, but the revelation it created. That even in the most brutal of conflicts, the sharpest weapon is intelligence, not steel. Enigma's defeat did not come with thunder or spectacle. It arrived quietly. In the moment, a message was intercepted, decrypted, understood, and folded neatly into a file. For the Germans, this was a wound deeper than any battlefield loss. It shattered the belief that mathematics alone could guarantee victory, that engineering perfection was unassailable. The collapse of their faith in Enigma was the collapse of a philosophy, a belief in certainty, order, and mechanical supremacy. For the Allies, the triumph was not only strategic, but symbolic. It proved that creativity could pierce any armor, that human insight could outmaneuver even the most complex machine. Where the Reich trusted inevitability, Bletchley Park trusted imagination. The greatest battles of that hidden war were fought not with tanks or rifles, but with wires, diagrams, and restless minds unwilling to surrender to the impossible. And in the stillness of Enigma's museum displays, that victory leaves an echo, a reminder that the fate of nations was once decided not by how loudly they fought, but by how brilliantly they thought. If you reach this point, you just lived one of the most secret battles of World War II. If you enjoyed the story, drop the word Enigma in the comments and follow for more untold war stories.